You think the Cold War ended? The truth is, the United States and Russia have been side-eyeing each other with nuclear warheads for nearly 80 years. From the first atomic blast in 1945 to the Soviet Union's reply in 1949, both sides built enough firepower to blow the planet into smithereens. Treaties came, treaties went, and the stockpiles never really went away. Now, with new tensions, upgraded weapons, and shorter launch times, a single false alarm could light up the sky in minutes. Today, we're breaking down how history shaped the nightmare that could happen next. History of the nuclear race. You want to know what's scarier than a horror movie jump scare? Two superpowers with itchy trigger fingers and enough nukes to make Earth uninhabitable. Twice. That's the story of the United States and Russia. And it started the moment one of them lit up the sky in 1945. The U.S. ended World War II with 2 atomic blasts in Japan. And suddenly, the world had entered a brand new, very explosive time. By 1949, the Soviet Union had joined the party. And from there, it was an arms race with no finish line. Each side kept building bigger, faster, and deadlier weapons, piling them high like doomsday trophies. Then came 1962, when the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the planet just a hair away from an all-out nuclear exchange. The only reason you're here reading this and not eating canned beans in a fallout shelter is that cooler heads barely prevailed. In the 70s, things cooled off, at least on paper. Treaties like SALT and later START promised to slow production and cut stockpiles. And when the Soviet Union collapsed in the 90s, there was a real sense that maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind us. But here's the thing, nobody dismantled everything. Fast forward to now. Both countries are quietly upgrading their arsenals with weapons that are faster, more precise, and harder to intercept. The rivalry never really ended. It just got a modern makeover, which means the smallest misread signal or political standoff could send us right back to the edge. History has already shown how close we've come before. The question now is, what happens if we don't get lucky next time? Who strikes first? Picture this. It's 3 a.m. and a radar screen somewhere in Moscow lights up like a Christmas tree. To the people in that control room, it looks like the missiles are headed their way. Clock is ticking, and the wrong decision could mean the end of everything. In this scenario, there's no evil master plan, no dramatic push-the-button moment. It's a misunderstanding, a glitch, a misread satellite image, or maybe an intercepted signal from NATO territory in Eastern Europe. In our case, Poland, and the Kremlin thinks a U.S.-backed strike is already in motion. With only minutes to respond, the Russian president orders a counterattack. Nuclear-armed submarines begin to surface, and mobile missile units lock onto targets. Thousands of miles away, the U.S. command center is scrambling to confirm what's real and what's noise. But under America's launch-on-warning policy, waiting too long could mean losing the ability to strike back at all. So, in the chaos, the U.S. fires. Long-range bombers roar into the sky. Underground silos send missiles screaming toward Russian airspace. Both sides are convinced they're acting in defense. But by then, defense doesn't matter. The moment the first launch leaves the ground, the chain reaction is unstoppable. In less than half an hour, the planet's 2 largest nuclear powers have gone from tense but stable to a full-blown exchange, all because of a mistake. And once those warheads are in the air, there's no undo button. Targets and first strikes. Imagine sipping your morning coffee in New York, and before you can finish your first sip, the sky turns white. No siren, no warning, just an instant flash, then nothing. That's how fast the opening moments of a nuclear exchange can unfold. In a U.S.-Russia conflict, the first minutes are pure chaos. Moscow takes the initial hit from multiple warheads, wiping out millions instantly. At nearly the same moment, Washington, D.C. is gone, along with the country's political leadership. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Seattle vanish in blinding fireballs. Across the Atlantic, America's NATO allies are pulled into the disaster. London, Berlin, and Warsaw are struck, each suffering catastrophic losses. Russia isn't spared either. Its military hubs near Murmansk, Kaliningrad, and deep in the Ural Mountains are reduced to rubble. This isn't just about cities. Missile silos in the U.S. heartland, strategic bomber bases, and naval stations all become prime targets. The goal on both sides is to cripple the other's ability to fight back. But the price is staggering. In the first 24 hours, an estimated 50 million people are gone. Another 100 million are injured or slowly dying from radiation burns and collapsing infrastructure. Hospitals, if they still stand, are overwhelmed. Emergency services are non-existent. For those who survive the blast zones, the nightmare is only beginning. The terrifying reality? Once the first warhead's launched, there's no negotiating, no pause button. The clock to mass destruction ticks in seconds, not days. Collapse of society. Think the blast is the worst part? Sadly, that's just the opening act. What comes after makes the explosions look almost merciful. Within hours of the strikes, the systems that keep society functioning are gone. No internet, no electricity, banks and ATMs stop working. Grocery stores, if they're still standing, are stripped bare in minutes. The supply chain doesn't slow down. It evaporates. Food shipments stop, and clean water becomes priceless. Without basic services, chaos moves in fast. Police forces splinter. Some officers try to help. Others disappear to protect their own families. Armed gangs take over neighborhoods. In some areas, military units break from central command and act as independent powers. The law isn't just broken, it no longer exists. Russia faces the same hellscape. With major cities like St. Petersburg and Novosibirsk wiped out, there's no central authority strong enough to maintain order. Regions fall under the control of local warlords, while survivors compete for dwindling resources. Meanwhile, the radiation doesn't respect borders. Fallout drifts across Canada, Scandinavia, and parts of China, poisoning air, water, and soil. People far from the blast start getting sick. Crops wither, and livestock dies. Then comes the nuclear winter. With sunlight blocked by soot and ash in the atmosphere, global temperatures drop, fields freeze, growing seasons collapse. Starvation spreads faster than the fallout ever could. It's no longer about winning or losing. It's about who can stay alive another week. And for billions, that's a fight they're destined to lose. Final outcome. 2 weeks after the opening salvos, the scale of destruction is almost impossible to comprehend. The loss of life has surged past 300 million souls. Entire populations gone, as if erased from the map. Nations that once boasted the most powerful governments on Earth now face total collapse. Political structures crumble, and in their place, uprisings and violent power struggles emerge. But the bombs are only the beginning of the tragedy. The real killer is hunger. Far more lives are claimed by famine than the blast themselves. Global food supplies vanish as farmland becomes poisoned and the skies grow dim. The knowledge, technology, and infrastructure humanity relied on for centuries vanish almost overnight, sending society hurtling backward into a pre-industrial existence. From the ruins of megacities to the smallest villages, survivors face a harsh reality. There are no leaders left to guide them, no factories to rebuild, no networks to reconnect the world. Civilization as we knew it ceases to exist, replaced by isolated pockets of humanity, struggling just to make it through another day. The lesson becomes brutally clear. There is no such thing as winning in a nuclear exchange. The only outcome is a shattered planet where the survivors inherit not victory, but an age of darkness, preventing the unthinkable. The terrifying truth is that a nuclear conflict isn't inevitable. It's a choice, and choices can be changed. The most powerful tool we have is diplomacy, backed by consistent communication between nations, even when tensions run high. Direct military-to-military hotlines, arms control treaties, and renewed nuclear disarmament talks are not relics of the past. They're lifelines for the future. Public pressure always plays a role. Citizens can demand transparency from leaders about nuclear policies and push for investment in peace building. rather than new weapons. History shows that de-escalation is possible. The Cuban Missile Crisis ended not with mushroom clouds, but with backdoor negotiations and compromise. Equally vital is the global reduction of hair-trigger alerts on nuclear arsenals. Removing these rapid launch systems cuts down the risk of a mistake leading to catastrophe. Expanding cooperation on shared threats like climate change, pandemics, and cyber warfare can shift the focus from confrontation to collaboration. The ultimate goal? A security framework where no country feels it must rely on nuclear weapons to survive. This requires patience, political will, and the courage to step back from the brink. The world has faced close calls before. If we act now with urgency and unity, we can ensure those close calls never turn into the final call. If this sounds like the plot of a disaster movie, that's because it's a warning, not a script for the future. Nuclear war isn't some distant nightmare. It's a real possibility we can't ignore. The key to survival? Talking, negotiating, and choosing diplomacy over destruction. Your voice matters. Demand leaders prioritize peace before it's too late. If you found this eye-opening, hit like, share with your friends who need to hear this, and subscribe for more real-world breakdowns. Don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss an update. Peace isn't guaranteed, but it's worth fighting for. What's one step you think world leaders should take right now to prevent nuclear conflict? Drop your thoughts below. Let's get the discussion going.